Nothing's overnight. Some days you lose, some days you survive. Still strong, even moving slow. Every step counts more than you know. I found gold in the everyday, and showing up and staying brave. Still
Dave Foraker, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm gonna give you a proper introduction, Dave. This is gonna be a heavy podcast because of your job, what you do. You and I have been friends for 15 years. We have a bond that goes pretty deep. And even though we're going to talk about some heavy stuff, there's no one else I'd want to do this with. And you've been a good friend to me. And my friendships, and this is a recurring theme, my friendships, we don't have to get together every weekend or go to dinner. Like my people, they know I'm there, and I know that they're there, and when I need them, they're there, and you and I have that same bond.
Yeah.
We could go 6 months without talking to each other, but I know you'll take my call. I know if I need something, you'll drop what you're going to do. And I want to be the same for you. Yeah, I love you and your family, man.
Thank you.
Dave Foraker, born in Camden, New Jersey.
Yeah. Good old New Jersey.
You've been married 20 years, brother.
Yeah.
20 years. What's that feel like?
It's crazy. I mean, the love of my life, so I'm thankful God brought her in there. But, 20 years. Last year we celebrated 05 to 2025. So
Wow.
It's been a fun ride.
Yeah. Karen and I have been married 29 years. I think after 20 is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, man, where did the time go? When you stop to think about it, I would say, oh, we've been married 10 years or something, but when you stop to think about it, it's like, wow. Yeah. And I know your wife, you have a good woman, man. You got a woman like I have. Like, she's your person. She's your rock. She's it. You got a good one.
Yeah. I do.
You also have 5 kids. Yeah, let's talk about them. I know your oldest is in college. Let's just...
Joe is 18. He's in college. He's a freshman. Then Sadie is 17. Mikey's 15. Sophie is 13. Make sure I get it right. And then Paul is 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so 3 boys, 2 girls.
Yeah. Your hobbies and interests, I like what you had here. The first thing you said was your family. Like, I'm a family man. Like, that's my identity, my family. I know you. I know that's what you're all about. You like traveling and you like sports. I know you and a mutual friend of ours like to go out hiking in Colorado.
Oh yeah.
You and your wife for your anniversaries, you take some trips. So like, what's the most memorable travel experience you had, and what would you like? What's on the bucket list?
Oh man, most memorable with the family, I would probably say Alaska.
Well, that's cool.
We were able to take a trip a couple years ago, all of us.
Nice.
Obviously my oldest is not at home right now. So that was probably the most memorable. Taken a lot of trips, thankfully, with Holly over the years. The best ones, and we've actually gone twice because we liked it so much, was Scotland.
Oh, cool.
And so she would love to go back. If I can make it happen, I will. Where I want to go, I don't know, man. I'm open to anything, really.
If you go to Scotland and you want to go with someone else, think about me and my wife.
Okay.
I'd like to hit that one with you.
Man, absolutely.
My wife and I were at a spot in our life now that we've got a little bit of freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And we were trying to take these weekend trips, just, fly somewhere, spend the weekend and come back. I need to get back in that groove, but she likes to travel. I've been the one with my nose to the grindstone working, but now that we got a little bit of freedom, I need to keep that in the forefront. Yeah.
Okay.
So next time you go, if you want me to come, keep in mind.
No, that more the merrier. I'm game.
That.
So
Scotland, that sounds awesome.
It's the best. And we've gone all over the place in Scotland, like all the way up north, down south, everywhere in between. It's
cool.
amazing.
That's cool.
So
you got a career in law enforcement, and right now you are a sergeant in the Special Victims Unit. And that's primarily the reason why you're here, to talk about that type of stuff. You've been doing that for 20 years in September.
Yep. September will be 20
years. And you're 42 years old.
Mm-hmm.
How's that feel?
I feel old, but
do you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
No, come on.
I hear people say it, and this is true. It's not the years, it's the miles.
You got a lot of miles.
I feel I got a lot of miles, and they're starting to catch up with me.
So, well, maybe we'll dive into that.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, before we get rocking and rolling here, everybody that comes on the podcast gets a Still Strong hat. These are Richardson 112s. My kids tell me they're the best.
Nice.
So you can represent us.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can represent us when you're doing your thing.
Very cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. So, Dave, before we get into your job, your career, all the heavy stuff, I want to humanize you. Okay, I want to humanize you. So, who are you beyond your job? Like,
yeah, I mean, you find your identity, or a lot of your identity, I would say, in your job or your profession.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate you starting off that way, because that is something that I've always kept, or at least tried to keep in the forefront of my mind of, don't let this consume me. Don't let this be all that I am, or all I'll be remembered for, if that makes sense. So, beyond the job, I would say I'm just a family man. I try to be the best husband and father, and invest as much quality time and time into my family. In addition to that, thankfully we've got a lot of extended family in the area, a lot of friends in the area. So, taking time out to do what I can for them, be with them, hang out with them, and then also, trying to be as active as I can in my church. I'm a Christian. Every day, just working towards becoming more like Christ each and every day, and cultivating that relationship, drawing closer to God as he draws me close to him. So in the end, Lord willing, when my kids are older and I'm near the end or I'm gone, I hope that one day, they'll look back, and maybe the law enforcement side will be more of like a side note, a footnote, but they'll remember more of like, that was just my dad, or that was, my husband, whatever it may be, or that was my brother in Christ kind of thing. So, I tell people this all the time at work, and I'm one of the older guys now in my unit, but, I'm boring. I really am, and they laugh at that because, they're out doing things. They're younger, all the stuff that we all did when we were younger. But I'm just like, if I'm not at work, I'm either at church or I'm at home, guys. Like, I don't do anything else. I don't go anywhere else. Like, but that brings me joy. That brings me happiness. That brings me peace. So
I can appreciate that. I'm boring myself. In fact, you know what? I'm 50, but I feel like I've made it. In regard to, listen, dude, boring is so nice.
Yeah,
absolutely. My wife and I, we go to dinner at 5:00 with all the old people. And I'm like, this is the best.
I'm the same way. We eat dinner at 5:00, like religiously. And then I'm ready for bed at like 8:00. So
same. We're like, hey, you tired yet? She's like, yeah, let's go to bed. I love it. Like,
yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Just a personal note, I know you. And when you talk about, and we're going to get to this, but when you talk about your family and whatnot, and trying to stay connected with them, and like, your children, my children are the same age, so I'm at some of the games that your kids are playing, and I've seen you at virtually every one, and you're not just watching, you're actively watching. You got your phone out, you're making videos, yeah. you're like in the moment. You're in the moment. And that's important because you don't get very many of those moments. Once your kids grow up and they're gone doing their own thing, those moments are gone. Mm-hmm. Those moments are gone. So that's something I've observed about you and appreciate about you, is when you're there, sometimes you haven't been there, we'll get there, but when you're there, you're aware of that you need to be in the moment. And most of the time I've seen you actively in that moment. So it's good stuff. Your career, what led you to your career?
I would say the biggest factor probably for me was my grandfather on my mom's side. He was Michigan State Police for 25 years, retired from Michigan State Police. After that, he was the chief of police for a little town that he lived in up in Michigan. And I remember as a kid, and he died when I was like one. Not young, but when I was about one. So I really never knew him, but I heard stories from my mom and stories of his career and things and fun and exciting things that he did. And then as I got older, come to find out, he actually put together like a memoir book. And I mean, this thing's thick, and but it's old school. It's like typed out on a typewriter and newspaper article clippings in there of certain cases and stuff like that. And I remember reading that in 10th grade and just going, okay, yeah, I feel led. Like this, I have a drive, I have a passion. This sounds fun and exciting. I could see myself doing this. So at that time, it was pretty much law enforcement or military. So those were my two options, and I didn't stray too far from it.
You used the word, I felt led, and I believe that your job is a calling. I feel like it has to be something that's ingrained in you, something that you're built for, designed for, called to do, because it's not easy. It's not easy work. And the fact that you had a family member that you observed, and at 10 years old that you felt that was in you, and that you've continued because you're 20 years in service right now, that tells me that you're called for that job. Because if you weren't, you wouldn't be here doing it right now. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I truly do feel led. The Lord led me into this profession. I know some people, I've had conversations with them. They may not agree, or they don't quite see it the same way, but in the end, that's okay. You know, God's working in all of us differently, and I truly do believe that I followed the path that He has had laid out for me from the beginning.
Yes, sir.
And I had a shout out to a cousin. He was a Madison Heights Police Department patrolman for about 20 years as well. So it wasn't just my grandfather, but it was primarily him. But then also it runs in my family, if you will. I had a cousin that was in law enforcement. So
something happened a couple minutes ago. These lights just got real bright. We don't edit anything. So I got to call it out. My son-in-law sitting over here. We sat down. He's like, he literally said, Keith, the lights are good. Everything's good. Let's go. And apparently these weren't. So it must have been a shadow. So son-in-law.
Listen, in my defense, I said the cameras were good. I didn't say anything about the lights.
Okay. Well, they're good now.
They're good.
And we bought you a nice microphone there so you can. That's my Jamie. You know, Joe Rogan's got his Jamie. That's my Jamie.
Yeah.
And
don't insult Jamie like that.
Yeah. And we actually bought some monitors. I'm gonna put some up for him. And at some point, we might incorporate him into the podcast so people can see.
Absolutely.
My boy over there.
Yep.
But hey, listen, are we good now? Yeah. Okay, good. All right, good. So you've been in law enforcement for 20 years. You're 42, so that means you started at 22 years old. 22 years old. Coming into law enforcement, are you the same guy now as you were then? Like, have you, knowing what you know now and what you didn't know then, like, were there certain thoughts that you thought law enforcement was like, and now did you go into it optimistic? Oh, I'm going to do this, like as a young man, like most of us do. Most of us, like, oh, I'm going to go, take over the world. Or I don't, you know what I mean? Like at 22. Yeah, so getting started out.
I did.
And then being 20 years into it, like being a veteran into this thing. Like, what was your mindset then? Has it changed?
It has changed. Obviously, I had those thoughts, those dreams and desires of, doing SWAT and or being a canine handler and, just chasing bad guys and, putting them in jail, all that good stuff, the fancy, the exciting kind of things. That was more, my focus as a young man. Like, I just want to get into it. I want to kick butt and take names kind of thing. As I've aged and as the longer I've been in the profession, obviously things have evolved and, my priorities in a sense have changed as well. So things that were exciting to me then, one, just with, age and getting older, I'm like, yeah, I probably can't do that anymore. But then also just, hey, I got a wife, I got kids, like, maybe I should leave that to somebody else. That's a young man's game kind of thing or whatever it may be. So certainly my thoughts and, opinions and ideas of the job and what I thought it would be like certainly has changed. But I would say in the end, I've up to this point, I've had a great career. I've worked for great, people and been a part of 3 different agencies actually in total during those 20 years. So I've had a lot, I've seen a lot, and I've got to experience a lot. So looking back now, kind of towards more the end of my career, um, I feel satisfied, if that's the right word. I don't regret anything. Again, going back to God's overarching plan, this is what I believe He had for me. So I'm happy.
We stumbled across something because that's biblical. God talks about youthful strength, young man's strength. And a part of a young man's strength is that optimism, that energy that over time we lose. So we lose that energy, but we gain wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
As we age, we gain wisdom.
Yeah.
One's not better than the other. That's just the way that we were designed. So to go in full of energy, I'm going to get it. Like, we need that. And then as we grow in our field, we have that wisdom, and then we pass that down to the next generation that has that youthful strength, and hopefully they can glean some of that and keep the mission going.
Mm-hmm.
So God designed us that way, man. Yeah, God designed us that way. And
it's funny you say the word teach, because my parents, when I was growing up, were in education. My mom was a teacher all life. My dad was a teacher and or administrator in schools. And, for a moment I had an idea of maybe being a teacher, following their footsteps. But in this job, I've had the opportunity to be a field training officer. So even though, I'm not in education, in a school building and everything, I've been able to, like you just said, teach those younger people, that new generation coming up, from experiences that I've had and, some knowledge that I've gained and, maybe even some wisdom to pass along, so that way they can have, Lord willing, a long and illustrious career. So.
Yeah, and it's good that we don't know. It's good for us that we can't see too far in the future. Like, it's good for you at 22 years old that you didn't know the things that you know now, because they would have affected your perspective. There's something clean, there's something pure about having a new start, and being passionate about a new start and not knowing what's out there. You know what I mean? Because you can be, the hard work can make you pessimistic. It can make you, oh man, why am I even trying? But we need that passion. And again, that goes with how God built us. It goes with how God built us. What does being a husband and a father mean to you in the middle of your work?
Humanly speaking, it's everything. I couldn't do it without the support that I have of, my wife mostly, and then obviously my kids. You asked, what does it mean to me? I mean, that it's everything, because when I do have those bad days or, memories or, just, something emotional or some stress in my life, I know I always have them that I can go to, I can support, or they can support me. And, she's in it with me, and my kids. As your wife's been in through the thick and thin with you through all of, everything that you've set out to do over the years.
Yeah.
And, in a sense, she didn't sign up for this, she married me.
Yeah.
But she didn't get to choose, in a sense, what job. And so she's had to, in a sense, carry that. I apologize.
You're all right.
That's my bad. And she's had to, carry that baggage and that luggage along with me. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm thankful for that. So again, if it weren't for them, I don't know how long, honestly, I probably would have lasted in this career.
I've always said the world can be against me, As long as my wife accepts me and loves me and I can come home to her and say, hey, I had a hard day, and she just kind of holds me, dude, I'm good. And you have that.
Yeah.
Women are built differently than men, physically, emotionally, everything. Especially in your line of work, I wouldn't imagine you would tell your wife everything that you see or deal with. I don't tell my wife everything. It's mine to carry. She's a helper, and I tell her some things, but I'm conscientious of how much I tell her and put on her. But I'm thankful for her. She's comforting, consoling, and really a lot of times I don't even have to tell her exactly what it is. She just knows. Hey, come here. Hey, come here. Come here for a minute. Let me hold you for a minute. That's important.
Yeah.
All right. Let's this is gonna consecutively get a little bit deeper. In your job, processing what you carry. How do you process? Let me back up. Let's back up. The heaviness of the job, right? The heaviness of the job. What do you wish that the public, the average person, understood about what you see and deal with on a daily basis? Okay, so I'll just give you an example. You and I talked one time, and you said that people have a hard time relating to you or connecting with you about your job. They don't know what to say, and so they say stupid things. Sometimes it's better if you don't know what to say. Just say, hey, brother, I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Just like at a funeral. Who knows what to say at a funeral?
Yeah.
Don't try to say something that you don't mean or understand. Just a look, a pat on the back can go a long way. So, having said that, the stuff that you deal with on a daily basis, what do you wish the public understood about that?
I would say one of the biggest things is just an understanding that cops, law enforcement, any first responder, really, firemen, EMS, all that stuff, they normally see people on the worst days of their lives, which we've all heard before. But what does that truly mean? And, going through it, experiencing it, trying to help or whatever, you're required to do at the time. But then coming home after your shift, whether that's 8, 12, 24, whatever it is, and trying to be normal and trying to live a civilian, if you will, life. I mean, the chronic stress of people in this type of profession, not just law enforcement, it can really weigh. And, a lot of people, myself at times included, have just withdrawn and kind of become like a hermit and just keep people at an arm's length away because, like you just said, no one really can relate, on a day-to-day basis. A lot of stuff I don't tell people, or if they ask, I don't go into the nitty-gritty details because they probably couldn't handle it, if I'm being honest. And I'm not trying to sound dramatic. I'm just being honest. So just the idea that we're human as well, and we have the same emotions, we have the same feelings, we have the same thought processes as anyone else going about their day. And, well, what do you do after a long day of work, or a hard day of work? Oh, I was stuck in traffic for 2 hours. Okay, well, I just had to give CPR to a baby, you know what I mean? And then the baby died. So, kind of humanly speaking, you're not on my level, you know what I mean? But how can you relate? Just trying to get them to understand that, again, normally, as cliche as it sounds, we generally have to deal with people and do what we can for people on the worst days of their lives. And so with that, we're trying to be professional. We're trying to be respectful. We're trying to also, if need be, enforce the law if need be. So, You know, a lot of people can't wrap their minds around all these things happening at once while they're in the middle of, you know, going through something. And then, you know, for just say example, for me at the end of the day, I just experienced that. I'm trying to do this and I'm being called every name in the book and I'm being looked at because, well, did you investigate this rightly? You know, maybe by your agency, not like anything bad, but just, you know, you always have bosses that are asking questions and just trying to process that and then just still go home and be a normal dad and be a normal husband and interact with people.
Part of the reason why I wanted you to be on here was to talk about that and to shed some light on that. You can't go wrong by being gracious, especially to those public servants. You can't go wrong by being gracious. And I want people to think about that. For one, to have gratitude for the people that do your job and extend some grace. You also hit on something that I had never thought about. Soldiers that go overseas, that are in battle, and that's a different dynamic. But what you just said is, I don't want to say it'd be easier. It's a different dynamic. I'm not saying it's easier or harder. But your job, you're not going overseas for a tour, doing your tour, and then coming back home for an extended period of time. You're basically going overseas 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours at a time, and then coming home and reacclimating to society. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're reacclimating to society. I had never thought about that before. So thank you. And speak to that if you want to.
No, I mean,
that's got to be hard, brother.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And, you know, I'm not trying to compare the two.
No.
You know, and we're not. I understand that completely. They're different dynamics. And, you know, what men and women see in the military, if they're deployed especially, and what they go through for however long their tour is.
It's incomprehensible.
It is. Absolutely it is. But to speak on what you just said, that's a good way of putting it, you know, and we do call them our tour of duty. You know, that is the terminology that we do use. And then, but living in that same community where you're enforcing the law and where you're seeing the worst of the worst and having to deal with it, you know, hands on and getting your hands dirty and doing what needs to be done. But then, okay, 5 o'clock rolls around and, you know, it doesn't just all fall away. You can't just really, you know, put your dad face on and your husband face and just be like, all right, everything's better, because it carries with you. It does.
Okay, so we'll stay here as long as we need to. Your shift's over. You're on the drive home. Are you decompressing on the drive home? Do you ever sit in the driveway and just, okay, I gotta be dad now? Practically, how do you make those tour of duty deployments and then back into civilian life? What does that look like? And I'm sure it's different day to day.
Yeah, I was just going to say it varies. Obviously, you know, not every day is, you know, well, you know, the worst day of my life kind of thing. But yeah, there's certain switches you flip. If, you know, as an analogy, I would say there are days where I just drive home in complete silence. There are days where, you know, I do try to, and this is just me, something I do, I try to call my family members, like my parents or my sisters, on my drive homes, because to me, I've just found over the years that that's a good time for me. And before I get home and, you know, have to deal with whatever's going on at home, because obviously when I walk in the door, you know, maybe Holly's having a bad day, maybe something bad happened to her, and then you got to deal with that as well. And, you know, I'm not minimizing
you got teenage daughters, and there's always something going on with them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You got 5 kids, and they're always having crises that you got to deal with. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you've been there, and that's something that I've told you over the years, even just indirectly, I see how you've handled it. You've had to handle situations, and I've always admired it, or I've looked up to it, and I've always looked up to you because I'm like, okay, yeah, my kids are just a few years behind yours.
Yeah.
And so how will I react? What will I do? How will I respond? But going back to what you asked, yeah, in silence sometimes, just trying to process it, trying to maybe put it out of my mind, or maybe I need to think on it some more and get it right in my mind, for lack of a better word. I like to talk to my family, and that takes my mind off it. And obviously, a big one that I do often throughout the day is prayer. Okay, Lord, I need your help. I can't do this on my own. So I need you. And so, and like you said, a lot of times before, I walk in the house. It's funny you mentioned like just taking that breath and like, okay, let me make sure I'm good to go. Something I always did when I would get out on a traffic stop, and I don't know why, but it's just like that thing you do. And I'm sure lots of cops can, relate to this. I'd always kind of just like adjust my belt whenever I'd get out of my car. And it was kind of like, okay, I'm locked in. I'm focused now. This is my focus. This is my purpose. Sorry, I'm kind of going off topic.
No. I want to hear all this.
I vividly remember when I was doing traffic stops more often, like, okay, you never know what you're going to get when you walk up to a car. And I just remember always getting out and just kind of just like making sure my belt, for whatever reason, was like, and once I did that, it was kind of like, okay, yep, I'm locked in. I'm good to go. And kind of like going back, okay, once I get in the driveway, all right, I need to be dad now. I need to be husband. I need to be Dave or dad, whatever it is. So make sure going back, make sure I'm there for my family. And if they need something, put your crap aside, man. Your family's got to come first. So if they're dealing with something or the drama, the nonsense or just the shenanigans, hey, let's deal with it. Let's be dad. Let's have fun. Let's have those deep conversations if that's what needs to be. But just like flipping a switch, like, okay, regardless, I've got to be dad or husband.
I wish I would have learned that lesson a lot sooner in life. My wife and I, she was 14, I was 16 when we met. She was 18, I was 20 when we were married. Started having children right away. The guy that I was working for in construction went bankrupt. I started my own business early 20s. First it was survival mode, just working to stay ahead of the bills. And sometimes sometimes I was just 24 hours ahead of my bills. Like I could not stop. I couldn't be sick. I couldn't take time off. I cannot stop because I'm just running from my bills, staying ahead of my bills. So feeling that pressure and not even realizing what was going on in real time, just because you're trying to stay ahead. And then starting business, and now I have a business and managing people and running jobs. Without realizing what was going on, my work became my identity. And your drive home, you're decompressing, you're saying, okay, work time is over, now dad mode. I never had that for a long time. I came home and I treated my kids, dude. They were little, like my employees I've been working with all day, like the people I'm working for. And didn't know it because I got a good wife. She didn't tell me what I was doing, but there was a shift where once Daddy's truck would pull up in the driveway and all the kids would run to the door, Daddy's home. There was a shift where, ooh, Daddy's home. And they would go hide. And my wife would make sure the house is clean, make sure everything's ordered, make sure everything's just right, because Keith's home, and what's he gonna see that's not right? When I deal with problems all day, jobs like stuff all day, it just rolled over into my everyday life. And yeah.
No, I can relate what you're saying. That's what I try to do each day, but that I certainly fail often. So I can relate. I can understand that.
So just like we talked about, as we age, we get experiences, and we share those experiences with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Share those experiences with someone else, some other young father that's feeling pressure. Listen, man, them kids are gonna grow up. You got a limited amount of time with them.
Mm-hmm.
If they're running the door to see you, give them something to be happy to see about. Like, put that stuff to the side and be in the moment. Love those kids. And we have regrets. But as long as they shape us and mold us, make us, we can be transparent and share our shortcomings and failures. Say, sorry, I've told my kids, I've apologized to my kids. Hey, sorry, you know what I mean?
Me too.
And they've been gracious to me. They love me unconditionally. Kids are good, man.
Yeah.
Kids are good. All right. We're going to progressively get a little deeper here. So we just talked about your deployments. Okay. And without sharing sensitive details, like specifically, like we're not going to name names, we're not going to name that kind of stuff. But you and I talked about this. With the work that you do, I want people to get a feel for what you see and deal with. Okay. And we talked about, I told you before, I was like, I don't want to feel like I got to take a shower after we talk. But then we talked again. I said, you know what? When you walk up onto a scene, there's no filter. You got to see it for what it is in real time. And although I don't want to see it, I think it's important that we see it because it will give us appreciation for you and the people that do your work. And again, to humanize you, to give you some grace. So some of the cases that have stuck with you the longest when you're doing your work, and then you gotta go home and be dad. Can we talk about that for a little bit?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier I'm a sergeant in the special victims unit, but I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity in my career to be in the homicide unit as a detective, and then I did homicide violent crimes as a detective there. When I got promoted, they separated them. I went to the violent crimes unit, did that for 7 years, and then just going on almost a year now, I've had the opportunity to work in the special victims unit. So homicide, any shooting, stabbing, now dealing with rape, sex abuse, elder abuse, child neglect. I've seen it all. I've investigated it all. There's probably nothing that I haven't investigated.
Even that. You're not just casually walking by, driving by and seeing it. You're investigating it.
Yeah.
You're touching it. Investigate is a heavy word. You're not just driving by and moving to the next thing. Like when we drive by a traffic accident.
Yeah.
And it puts a knot in our stomach because we saw something.
Right. Yeah, okay. I'm in it, and
you're in it.
A lot of times,
to the detail.
I'm the lead detective, or I'm the lead sergeant on it, whatever it may be. And we have great detectives and great supervisors who I work with. So I've been blessed over the years to have a lot of help. And it really does take a team. When I say investigate, I'm talking, about myself, but, in the profession, like we were talking about earlier, you got to really want to do the job. You really got to be led, be called, whatever label you want to put on it, because I know not everyone believes like me. You really have to prepare yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, because you are in the thick of it. If you're a detective, or at least at my level, in an investigative unit, you're in the nitty gritty, and you're taking the photographs, and you're going to the autopsies, and you're going to those scenes, and you're getting the search warrants, and you're having to search and go through, people's houses, people's lives, with a search warrant, and seeing, the abuse, seeing the neglect, seeing the hate, seeing the evilness, and the goriness of it at times. So I've seen it all. I've done it all. Going back to when I started with the Florida Highway Patrol, and I can remember, you know, I wasn't traffic homicide investigation, but at the time, troopers were allowed to and had to at times give next of kin notifications. And so, like you said, I was 22, 23 at the time, having to knock on people's doors and telling them that their loved one had died, in a car accident, and, relaying the information as well as I could to them, being respectful, being professional. And like you said, carrying that with me then and trying to go home and, be normal after that. It's difficult at times. So,
Is there a particular case? Is there a particular case that sticks with you?
yeah, I've got a lot of cases that stick with me.
Can you talk about one or two of them?
Yeah, a recent one, I should say, that I can remember in the Special Victims Unit. It involved um, sexual abuse. And normally when it deals with kids, like that's something, in all honesty, this has been the hardest spot that I've been in my law enforcement career. And I don't say hardest in that like the job, like doing the day to day is hard, just the heaviness of it and the emotional toll and having to read or whatever it may be, the reports and, listen to the audio or listen to the forensic interviews that, these kids have to go to and provide the information so we can have an investigation and hopefully make an arrest. But there was one recently that involved sexual abuse, and I was on call at the time, and myself and the detective dealing with it. Long story short, the guy fled. We were able to secure a warrant, and in my mind at the time, I was like, man, I was kicking myself, even though there was nothing that I could do, because I was like, man, we didn't get justice for that girl. But thankfully, we just got word about maybe a month or two ago that he was caught. And I was like, oh, yes, like, thank you, Lord. And I know that justice isn't mine in the end. God gives well,
God uses people, though.
yeah.
You're his servant. You're doing his work.
Yeah. So I'm getting emotional now, but that's the honesty of it. This is the truth about it. Cause that one really bothered me. I remember dreaming about it, and I've dreamt about other cases in the past as well. But that one most recently is the one that stuck with me just because he got away. And it wasn't, again, anything that we could have done necessarily. We did everything that we could have and should have at the time, and work in the case as we should have. But, some people just get away sometimes. But thankfully, like I said, he was caught and he's going to be brought back here. And so I was like, all right, thank you, Lord. That was good.
I told you I would not want to be having this conversation with anybody but you. And I appreciate you like pulling the armor off a little bit and showing the human side. That's the whole point of this. That's
That's a recent one. I've got cases of homicide. I've got violent crime type of cases. So, but yeah, and I think any law enforcement or someone in this line of work, they'll have cases they'll carry with them the rest of their lives, whether it's something great that happened or something, that case that just you couldn't figure out, or you never were able to make an arrest on, or you just feel justice wasn't done. You did everything you could, but maybe something in the courts didn't go your way. So yeah, there's certainly cases that stick out to me that I will remember.
I don't know if you watched the podcast or not, but I had Billy Morris on here several weeks ago. He lost his son to drug overdose. He works in the yard. Billy does. That's his job. And I asked him, when you're in the middle of that job, trying to save someone's life, like, again, some of the same questions. How do you deal with it? The ride home, And he said, you know, I forget what the term is called. You would know. But he said, you know, when you're working on like an adults, there's a mechanism where you're not being disrespectful, but you say things just to try to lighten the mood. Just to, hey, you're doing this disgusting thing. You're forced to see this. So you just kind of like, your brain kind of like tries to cope with it. So in dealing with adults, you know, you just deal with it and, you know, try to lighten it. We said you can always tell when there's an emergency with a kid, the whole hospital's quiet. You can just sense, you come in, like, oh, either there's nothing going on the day or there's a kid involved. Like they don't joke about kid stuff. They don't like, it's a whole different dynamic. That's why I asked, because with you special victims, you're dealing with a lot of kids.
Yeah.
There's no levity in that. There's no joking about that. That's a whole nother level of heavy, and that's a lot of heavy daily. So
Yeah, and of course being a father, you know, and that not saying that it would be any easier if, you know, I didn't have kids or was single or whatever, but, you know, trying not to, as I'm sure a lot of us do, you know, whatever it may be, like, what if, you know, what about this? What about that? You know, and trying to block those out of your mind. So, yeah, you brought up that gentleman who you spoke with, and it made me think of another case when I was a detective. And this is a good one. Obviously, it's traumatic. I feel horrible for the family, but I responded to a gunshot suicide, and it was a young gentleman, early 20s, and he had some drug issues and he had some mental health issues. So obviously that's tragic. I felt horrible, but I remember, and I still have the card. A couple weeks later, I got a card in the mail, and I wasn't thinking anything of it at the time. Like, who's this, you know? And I opened it up and I read it, and it still didn't dawn on me. Like, the name wasn't clicking, and it took me a minute, and I actually had to go back and like look up the report and be like, oh, and then I connected the dots, and it was the father who, you know, I spoke with. And, you know, again, he's like, you know, my wife and I, this was the worst day of our lives, but in a way that, you know, you can only do so much as, you know, a detective, but what you did spoke volumes, and we appreciated your professionalism. We appreciated you just having the tenderness and the heart, you know, and stuff. And so that was just really special to me. And like I said, I still have the card, and I'll keep it till I die. So, just because if I can help someone like that, that's the name of the game.
that's good. Because when you start, I can imagine that sometimes you feel like, what's the point, man? What's the point? Like, the harder I work, the more there are, and you could get lost. Like, you could get lost in that. But someone that took the time to write a card to remind you of your purpose, that you are making a difference. You made a difference to them, so that's important. Thank you goes a long way, doesn't it? Just a simple thank you. You don't know what appreciation or grace, what that maybe that person needs it in that specific moment. Remember, I told you sitting out there, I became aware that there are no coincidences. God is doing his thing. So if God leads you to show some gratitude, say thank you to police officer, stand in line, you buy his coffee at Starbucks, you don't know what that guy's going through. That may be what he needed in the moment. Just stay in the fight. Say, hey, I am making a difference, right? Like, we just never know. You never know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
Especially people who are on the front lines like you are. What's a hard day's work look like for you? Like, for me, a hard day's work when I was a kid, slaving that sun, slinging plywood, you know what I mean? Just come home beat red, starving to death, you know what I mean? I'm trying to finish this house, because the faster I get the house finished, the quicker I get paid. So skipping lunch, you know, just working long days, come home beat, tired. But I felt my purpose. Man, there's nothing like manual labor. To me, manual labor is therapeutic. Moving the body, providing for the family, doing something. And then you come home, and then you spend time with the family, and like, you're doing your job as a dad, you know, providing for. That's where I found my purpose. Nothing like it. That's my hard day's work. What's your hard day's work look like? Mentally, emotionally?
Yeah, I think
Like some of your hardest days.
I think for me right now, in the position that I'm in, it's more mental and emotional drain or, you know, stress than maybe the physical. There are days where, because, the supervisors are on call for a week at a time. So, just that 7 day stretch of, okay, if something happens, I'm the on call sergeant. Like, detectives are looking to me, bosses are looking to me to answer the questions, to figure it out, whatever it is. So, you have that. And, for me, a hard day though is more mental. It's more emotional. It's reading the cases to review them, to get them approved by my bosses, so then that the case can then be submitted to the state attorney's office so that they can prosecute, make sure that they have everything that they need moving forward in a case, whether it's because of a call out or whether it's because of something like that we responded to that night or that day versus, something that happened 2-3 weeks ago and we need to follow up with. But just putting that pressure on myself because of the position that I'm in, and in a sense, the gravity of it and the liability of it. Again, we want justice for the victims, and I want to put bad guys in jail, in prison. And that's kind of going back. That's the transition kind of in my own mind. When I was young, yeah, let's just find some dope, let's get some guys with some warrants and put them in jail, and didn't really think about the long term. Whereas then it moved to, I want to get into investigations. I want to put people in prison for the rest of their lives. If they do something that bad and they deserve to go, that's what I want. That's cool to me. So
with the position that you're in now, you've seen cases where people were guilty beyond a shadow of a doubt. They were guilty, but there was a technicality. Somebody didn't do the thing just the right way, and they either got a reduced sentence or they got off. Is that what you're talking about? Like making sure everything is just specifically the right way?
Yeah.
Like I could see that could be challenging. That could be, okay, we got the evidence, but did we get the evidence the correct way where it can be used the right way?
Absolutely. Did we abide by policy? Did we abide by Florida state statute? Did we do everything correct? So that way, when it goes to court, if it goes to court, there's no way that someone could get off on a technicality or, well, the detective didn't do this and they should have filed that paperwork, or they didn't put their name down here. And just, that burden that you have, as anyone has. I mean, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you have the weight of, okay, I've got however many employees and I got to make sure that, they're getting their paychecks, and that weight that you feel daily to make sure that you have the work to provide for your workers so that they can get paid and provide for their family. But just that self-imposed burden, but then also, like you said, the nature of the case and having to, read or investigate and knowing what this person did or didn't do and going, okay, yeah, this guy, this girl, whoever needs to go to jail, needs to go to prison for a long time. Let's make sure that we do this right. Let's make sure that they can't get off. So, I mean, that's again more the burden on a daily basis, a tough day for me. We do have long days physically, up all night, working a case if need be for 24, 48 hours, going on little sleep, and longer if need be. There's been several times where I've gone several days with, minimal sleep, just because, you're in the middle of a case. What else can you do?
Okay. You said something, and again, this is just practical stuff. When I don't get a good night's sleep, the next day I'm prone towards being pissed off all the time. I'm aggravated. If I don't eat, I'm prone towards being angry. So again, just what you talked about, working a case and just the fact not sleeping right affects your overall health, affects how you feel. And again, for the general public, for us, just to tuck that in the back of your head, to show some grace for someone who wears the uniform. You don't know how much sleep he's getting. You don't know what he's seeing. And to show some grace, man, to show some love, to show some kindness, some respect, and to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I take sleep for granted.
I love sleep, and I haven't had a good night's sleep in over a decade, probably.
Are you kidding me? We stumbled across this, but that helps me appreciate you and where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, since 2015, I started in criminal investigations division, so property crimes, just generic. And I've been on call for either several, multiple days throughout the month, but then for the last almost 8 years, I've been on call for a week at a time. And this is my job. This is what I chose to do. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not saying, it's part of the job. Right. I know I have to do that. But like you just said, yeah, I love sleep. I wish I had better sleep. I wish I could get some sleep, but a lot, especially when you're on call. I mean, you don't sleep well. Like that phone that I apologized about earlier went off. That thing is sleeping right by my head, 24/7, because if it rings or dings, you got to go immediately. Doesn't matter the time of day. If it's 3 a.m. and I'm dead asleep and they wake me up and say, I got to be on my A game, because again, going back, well, I don't want to just, phone this one in, somebody needs our help.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that we're going to do our job to the best of our abilities.
I've been, I'm kind of like, because I'm 50 and I'm trying to be the best I can be for my kids and grandkids, trying to be healthy and all this stuff. I listen to these studies and whatnot. They're becoming more and more aware of how important sleep is. Like sleep, if you want to be healthy, the first thing, how you sleeping? How you sleeping?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. How you sleeping? Your body's repairing itself when it's sleeping. Everything that you went through the day, your body is putting those things in file folders and organizing them. Sleep is key. People that work at nights, dude, they're literally taking years off of their life. So that's another thing we can think about. When you go into the ER and there's somebody there that's there for you, that's working, they are taking years off of their life to be there for you.
Yeah.
So in the middle of your crisis, show some grace, show some compassion, and be thankful that there are people that are willing to do that. Yes, it's a job. Like I go back to, it's a job, they get paid for it, okay. But beyond that, it's a calling. You follow me? It's a calling. It's a purpose. And people that answer the call, fulfill that purpose. I love those people, and I'm appreciative for those people. So something as minimal as sleep is not minimal. Not minimal. You're reducing your health for the public.
Yeah, I've joked about that, and Holly knows too. I'm like, I probably knocked 6 years off my life, and I'm like, well, it is what it is, I feel I can go without food, or I'm sorry, no, I can go without sleep. I've just adjusted over the years, but man, I get hangry. I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to make sure that I find some food or something.
Okay, so let's do this. There have been times I can probably think of half a dozen times that I have worked myself to exhaustion to try to get this job done, and gone all day without eating. Got home, it's dark, and I'm hungry, and I remember, okay, I'm so tired, but I'm hungry, and trying to choose which one is more important.
Yep.
So, for you, which one's more important, the sleep or the eating? Because I still don't know.
Man, I'd probably say food.
Food?
Yeah. I actually encountered that. It's funny you say that. Just a couple nights ago, I came home and I was hungry, and I did the complete opposite, actually. I was like, I'm just too tired. I'm just going to bed. But I remember waking up, and I remember laying in bed literally for like over an hour because, I don't sleep well, whatever. And I'm hearing my stomach growl, and I'm just like, I should have eaten something. And then I'm like kicking myself. I'm like, it's 2 a.m. I'm not going out to the kitchen, waking people up. But I'm like, just give me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something. Like, I just need some food. So it's just funny you mentioned that.
My daughter, Brooke, you know her.
Yeah.
He's laughing. She used to work at the ER at nights because it paid a little bit more money.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're struggling, you're starting life, you got to do what you got to do. I hated that. As a dad, I hated it. And she would come home so tired and have that same feeling. She kept a jar of peanut butter and a spoon next to her bed.
Yeah.
And she would come home asleep and like, and okay, I'm good now. Like that was her out. So if you ever are too hungry and too tired, just put a jar of peanut butter next to the bed with a spoon. Just leave it there, and then there you go.
Yeah,
You'll
I'm
be
gonna
good to
do
go.
that. I probably should have done that years ago, but oh well.
Have there been? I've had them in my life. Have there been cases or moments or just anything in your career where you felt like this is too much? I made a mistake, or I want out. I don't want to do this anymore. Have you ever had thoughts of quitting? Have you ever wanted to quit?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can we talk some specific things? Maybe just one or two of this happened and it tested me. And then obviously you're still here. You didn't quit. Let's just talk about that. I wanted to quit. Maybe it was that thank you card that came through. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been things
do
like
it.
that card over the years, whether it's, a card or God can use anything.
So give me a couple specifics like that you can remember.
I can remember one time, and I'm not just saying this.
Let's do it.
I remember I was in homicide, and I remember it vividly. It was you. And
It was me?
it was you. I remember. It was a Sunday morning. I was in the middle of a homicide investigation, and so I'm tired, lack of sleep. Not a lot of food. If it is food, it's probably just fast food because I'm having to do stuff. I'm on the phone or I'm at work, whatever it is. I'm traveling because of it and whatnot. And I vividly remember on a Sunday, you saw me from across the room, and you came to me. You like made a beeline for me, and you go, I see something in your eyes. You're struggling with something. Something's going on. I don't know what. And going back to what you said earlier, you didn't necessarily know what to say, but one, you said something, but you just said like, I'm here for you. I'm praying for you. If you need something, let me know. And that in that moment at that time when I was like, this is too much. Like, what did I get myself into? I don't want to do this anymore. I remember being encouraged by that. And I remember, okay, that along with other things. Okay. Readjusting my thought process. Okay, Lord, there's a reason why you have me feeling this way. There's a reason why you have me in this position right here, right now. And it's for my good and your glory, ultimately. So help me to do the best job that I can. And just kind of that flipping a switch where it's like, okay, stop focusing on myself. Stop thinking of, oh man, I'm hurting or I'm sore, I'm tired, I'm in pain, I'm grumpy and frustrated. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why am I still in this and doing this in a sense to myself? Well, there's a greater good. There's a bigger reason than myself for this. So, I mean, that's one example. There's been several times in, like when I was a sergeant in the violent crimes unit, where it's God most of the time bringing people. And whether it's a text message or, something is said, because I go to church, in the sermon, and it's most of the time God using people in my life that recalibrates me to say, okay, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going for various reasons, but thank you, Lord. And again, just taking the focus off myself because, well, I'm this or that, and just going, all right, I can keep going. I can keep doing this. There's a bigger reason. So,
Yeah, God's good.
I don't know if I answered that or not, but
No, you did. You did, because I remember that. And
Yeah.
God is good. I remember it was, we were having
Eden Sunday.
we were having a meal.
Yeah.
I walked in the door. You're standing against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
You're staring off into the distance.
That's what it was. Yeah. You
You're-
got that stare. You got that look about you.
You're staring
like
off
that.
into the distance.
Yeah.
And again, no coincidences, right? The fact that I even noticed you is a miracle because I have my own problems and I
Right.
tend to turn my eyes around and look at my own stuff and not look at other people. So the fact that God gave me the intuition, one, to see you, and then two, put love in my heart for a brother in Christ, to put myself out there without knowing, but I'm not going to be fake. That's what I'm talking about. Don't be
Yeah,
fake. Be real.
right,
If you notice
right.
something to somebody, say, hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I noticed something, like something. Like, don't try to be something you're not. But I remember seeing you. I remember God gave me a heart for you. Man, that dude's going through something. And I remember like feeling that weight to encourage you, whatever that looked like, and not even having the words to say. That walk across the room was a long walk for me. I'm remembering this. That was a long walk for me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
it-
you were literally across the other side of the room.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And somehow, like, we locked eyes,
yeah.
and I'm like, oh, he's coming towards me. Not like in a bad way, but I'm like, oh boy, Keith's coming to me. Like,
Yeah, because I give off that people have a perception about me. My wife says I'm unapproachable.
I hear that too all the time. For that, in that moment, it wasn't that. It was just like me and my anger, my frustration, or my exhaustion. I'm just like I
I don't want
know.
to deal with a person.
Exactly.
I
That's
get
all.
it.
That's what that was. And then
I
it's
get
like,
that because I don't want to deal with people either.
yeah. Oh no, Lord, thank you. Afterwards, like thinking
Yeah.
about it, thank you. That's exactly what I needed.
Good. So as Christians, we need to, no coincidences, right? Slow down, be sensitive to Holy Spirit, and just walk in obedience. That was God's work. You needed that. And you know what? It was good for me to look at someone else other than myself. Like
Mhm.
God was doing something on both sides. You needed encouragement, and I needed to know what it felt like to get out of my own head and say, hey, dude, other people going through stuff other than you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, man. So that was good. That was
Yeah.
God's grace. Thanks for reminding me about that. It was good. All right, Dave. Processing what you carry. We've already kind of hit this a little bit, but processing what you carry. You got a heavy case. Who do you talk to? Like, you can't tell your wife everything. I'm sure your wife don't know everything, but like processing that weight you carry. How do you process difficult cases without bringing that weight home? How do you do it? Like, this is, I struggle with this. Is there they got AA meetings for alcoholics. Is there like something for, I feel like there needs to be something where you can just let it out. Oh, I'll let you tell the story. I'll let you say it, but I think I know the answer.
All right, you might have to help me, but
No, I'm just talking as a Christian. We bring
Oh.
everything before the throne of God. And just
Oh,
let it
oh,
out.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like
Well-
he's our sounding board. Like, I think
yes,
well, go
yeah,
ahead-
you
go
hit the
ahead.
nail on the head right there, though.
Let's
I
hear
mean
it.
that is the first and foremost. Is I've got to cast my cares upon Him, for He cares for me. Bring my burdens, bring my petitions before the throne of grace, and I'm thankful, so thankful that I have Christ as my Savior, and He's a friend that sticks closer than a brother. The Bible says, and I know I can always run to Him. That was mentioned just recently. In a service, we don't need to manage our problems. We need to run to Christ. And I get that. But in my mind, I'm going, well, life is all about like managing problems. That's what we as, humans, men, husbands do. We got to manage problems. But in the midst of managing those problems, it shouldn't be, which it is because I fail often. It shouldn't be, well, I got this one, or I can figure this out, or, hey, no big deal, No, pray without ceasing, cast your burdens on the Lord, and run to Him. Go to Him in prayer, and so that has been huge in my life. Obviously the church is a huge part of my life, my family's life. To the church family that God has brought into my life, you and your family being a part of that for all these years. That's something that I know a lot of people in, law enforcement, other first responder positions, they may not have. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, because if I know at times how much I've struggled, but I have God in a sense on my side. He's there for me. He will, you know, he's a very present help in a time of trouble, it says in the Psalm. And I'm always say to myself, I don't know how others do it, because I'm so thankful that I have God who I've, relied upon all these years for everything, not just being in the job, but then also, the church family. Holly, yes, my wife, she hears a lot more than anybody else. But yeah, there are things that I don't tell her or can't tell her or wouldn't want to tell her. But she knows, like you said earlier with Karen, she doesn't necessarily need to know specifics, but she's just there.
Yeah.
And hey, let's go, just you and me. Let's go for a walk, or let's go grab a burger, whatever it is, because she just knows, hey, there's something going on, but I don't need to know, but I just need to be there for her.
That's it.
So yeah,
that's good.
And well, I was just gonna say, because you asked me this a couple weeks ago, like that was maybe like one of the things for me to think about. And I kind of had an epiphany almost, I feel like. And I'm like, man, I'm 42 and I've never really connected these dots. I kind of thought it was weird. So I moved all over when I was a kid. Obviously, you mentioned I was born in New Jersey.
Hold on a minute. There was someone in our church that was moving. Okay?
Okay.
They had the U-Haul there, and the church family was going to show up and help her move. Everybody,
I remember.
Everybody had an idea
Yeah.
of how to do it.
Yeah.
And I so appreciate this about you. You said, hey, nobody's moved more than me.
Yeah.
I'm going to run the show here. And you took over, you did it, and we packed that thing up. But I remember you saying, nobody's moved more than me. Nobody's done this more than me.
Yeah.
So here you go.
No, that's funny you say that. I do remember that. I didn't remember that earlier, but I've moved dozens of times, whether it's, across the city or across the entire United States. I've been in 9 schools from like kindergarten through 12th grade. So, I moved around a lot, and I always had to, in a sense, be ready to pack up, to move on with my life, to leave my friends behind, leave my home, leave the church we're going to, whatever it is. And at a young age, from the beginning, just looking back and going, I had to compartmentalize all that, because these are my friends, my neighborhood friends, or my church friends, or school friends. Oh, we're moving. We're going to Indiana. We're going to Washington State. We're going to Minnesota. We're going to Florida. We're going to Michigan. We're going to New Jersey and Ohio, and several times in all those places. My dad was director of business colleges when I was young. And so he would be sent to these new places to start new schools. And, I wasn't an Army brat or anything like that. And so there was a good reason for us to move. It wasn't like, that we were running from something. Right. But just at a young age, having to understand and feel that, like, okay, I've got to put this out of my mind because I'm going somewhere new, school or church, and I've got to make new friends and all that stuff. And having to, on a fly almost, stop,
shut it off,
and do something else.
Start over.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I truly, like I said, it hit me. I'm like, that was probably the Lord preparing me.
Not probably.
For what, okay, you had a bad day at work. Something bad happened, traumatic, that no one should ever see. All right.
Shut it off and move.
Go home. Yep. Shut
it off and move. Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That was interesting. That's actually, I'd never really thought of that before.
Again, it just solidifies that for Christians, God has a specific place, a specific job, a specific purpose for us, and he prepares us for that purpose. And you, without even realizing it, how you're raised, to be able to connect those dots now. So thank you, God. Thank you for giving me that mechanism.
Yeah.
That without even me realizing what you're doing, to be able to do what I'm supposed to do.
Yep.
In your field, have you noticed that your coworkers, how do you notice if your coworkers aren't handling the stress very well?
A lot of times it's thankfully that we're close. If we're a small investigative unit, just like most of them at, the sheriff's office here. So we get to know each other pretty well. And I think that is crucial because
Mm-hmm.
if we see, if they're coming in and, they're looking a certain way, and then the next day you just feel something's off, we have those relationships where we can go to them and be like, hey, everything okay? Do you need some help? What's going on? Do you need some time? Do you need me to move around some cases because you're overworked, overburdened right now? Or, you just have a large caseload. But yeah, it's very noticeable at times. And I think that's a good thing because we are such a tight-knit family and we get along so well together that,
Good.
we have each other's backs and we know when something's off.
Good.
And sometimes it's just, hey, I'm just having a bad day. Like, I'll be fine tomorrow. Okay, we're cool,
Good.
It doesn't,
So
stick around.
you almost have like a brotherhood that nobody outside that brotherhood is going to understand. I can't understand what you do. I want to, I can't. But you do have that tight knit group of your coworkers that are your brothers that you can be transparent with, and that you can pick up on a sense of, hey, things aren't good. Let me take this one or whatever.
Yeah,
Absolutely. So, have you noticed? My next question: have you noticed? You've been doing this since you're 22. Have you noticed in all your years in law enforcement that the job has changed people? Has it changed you?
it's changed me, certainly.
So I want to stay here for a minute.
Okay.
How has it changed you? Have you seen people, how it's changed them, better or worse? I think this is important. So
I'm more emotional, if that makes.
it doesn't make sense. So let's hear it. I want to spend some time here. I want to digest it. I want to drill down.
All right.
You're more emotional? Because I would think that I would be less emotional. I would think I'd build walls around my heart because I see stuff every day that I shouldn't see. I would want to seclude. I would want to barricade myself off from all emotion, like me.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you. You're the one living it. And I want to let's digest it.
Yeah.
The fact you said I'm more emotional just really surprised me.
Well, there have been times, absolutely, and I do still feel like that at times of just close everything. Just leave me alone. Let me just sit in my box and, nothing gets in, But over the years, going back to what you said when, when I had that case, that heavy case, and you came to me and you're like, God allowed me to, readjust my focus and see someone else maybe besides myself. It's weird, the shift, the change where, yeah, you have to be, in a sense, non-emotional, and you have to be able to be professional and compartmentalize and set things aside, maybe that are going on professionally or personally because you have a job to do or whatever, and you've got to present yourself a certain way. But at the same time, understanding as I get older, everyone and the problems that they're going through, the issues of life. It's not just me that's having issues. It's not just me going through problems. Help me to have a focus for others and a heart and an eyes for others rather than just, myself, or just closing myself up and not being available for anybody else. Because I could certainly see myself doing that, and I have at times, but God thankfully has softened my heart and revealed my sin and my pride and my self-centeredness of, it's not all about you.
This is so good. I wasn't expecting you to say this, but it makes sense that you would say that because you're a Christian and God is sanctifying us. He's doing a work in us. And what you just described is a work of grace in your life that only He can do.
Yeah. You said
that your job, what you see, He is victorious over all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like he defeated sin in our life, and you're seeing sin every day. You're seeing all this stuff every day. I just said it. I would want to block off. I want to do this or that. That proves to you that the grace of God is a real thing because it's saving you from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's sanctifying you. Whew,
One
man,
of
that
my-
was good.
John 16:33. I'm paraphrasing, but it's one of my favorite verses, and I try to live by it and remember it often. In this world, you will have trials and tribulations, but be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world.
Amen.
I'm not a optimistic person. Holly, optimistic. Social butterfly. All that stuff. She can talk to anyone and get along with anyone. I'm very unapproachable.
Same.
That's
why I like you.
That's partly because of the job. That's partly just because of I think that's how God made me.
Mm-hmm.
Just my look or the way I carry myself. I don't know. I'm always like I'm a teddy bear guy. It's like I'm a big
Sure.
softie, but no one believes me. But I, humanly speaking, that's what I want to do at times, and I have done it at times, humanly speaking. But like you said, because we have Christ in our lives, and we have God with His sovereign will and plan over all, and Him using us and sanctifying us daily, and saying, "Hey, this is more than just you. This is more than just your little life and what you have going on. There's a bigger story that I'm writing here that I've already written.
Yeah.
And you're a part of it, and I want you to be a part of it. But you need to support others, help others, be there for others. Whereas humanly, I'm just like, everyone leave me alone. I'm tired. I had a bad day. And so that's
powerful.
That's like what you just said, though. You hit the nail on the head.
That's powerful. That's powerful, man. Christ, who came to serve and to minister, to suffer loss on our behalf, and to make us adopted sons, and to change us, where once we were dead to those things that we're talking about, now we're made alive, not because of the work that we've done, because of the work that He's doing in us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so thankful for His work. Man, that's good.
I come not to be ministered, but to be a minister and to give yourself
a ransom for many.
A ransom for many.
So there are no hard days. Man, if I'm thinking rightly, in the will of God as a Christian, hard things, but are no hard days, because He is all sufficient. Wow, man.
His mercies are new every morning.
We came across this, and this is powerful. This is good, man.
Yeah.
Like, we know these things.
Mm-hmm.
I know it. Like the verse you're reading, I know it. But to experience it and to know it, that, hey, this is true because it's working in my life. I should look at humanity and be pessimist. I should look at because of what I see every day, but I don't.
Yeah,
because of the work of God in my life.
And that's how I am by default. Like, I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm a pessimist,
Me too.
But
Listen, man. If there's my wife, she like you, and God, again, God gives us our spouses like our children. But my wife, she sees the good. I'll find the worst.
Me too.
Like, in the future, there are no good outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
There's bad, worse, and then the one that I'm going to go through, there are no good outcomes. It's all bad.
I keep trying to tell Holly that, but...
Michael, how deep are we, brother?
We're about an hour and a half in.
Let's take a break. I got to go to the bathroom, and we'll hit something else. You good?
I'm good.
Let's do it.
All right.
This part of the podcast is brought to you by Frequence. The product is Sync. Sync is my collagen and CBN. Collagen for skin, bone, tendon, muscle health. CBN for sleep support. Find the link in the bio. Now let's get back to the show. All right, brother, we're back.
All right.
We stumbled across some stuff that I wasn't anticipating talking about your faith. I'm so glad we did, because we know all these things. We've grown up listening to all these things, but to hear it applied in real life and that it's working, it just strengthened my faith. strengthened by my faith that God is doing his work in us. Because sometimes I get discouraged with my growth. And our pastor said God's growing trees, not eggplants. You know, the rings in a tree, sometimes they're so tight you can barely even see them, but they're still growing. You follow me? And it's that sanctification, that growing in God is not my work. It's not my effort. It's all him, man. It's all him. And to see God's work in you and God's growth in you, protecting you from yourself with your own mindset, it's encouraging, man. It's like God is good. He's faithful to his people, man. So thank you for sharing that. The next question I'm going to ask you, it's a difficult one because people who don't know Christ, trying to make sense of this broken world that we live in, where babies die, where children are abused, man. All those horrendous things that is your job, that you see every day. Yet we say God is good. You would say God's good. So how do you reconcile a good God doing a work in a world that is depraved? Do you well,
It's my mindset, it's my focus, it's the relationship that I have with God through his word, and seeing the world as it is. We're so quick, all of us, in anything to blame somebody else. And I hear it often, blaming God, well, why is God allowing this bad thing to happen in my life? Well, that's you're asking the wrong questions, you're looking at it the wrong way. And these are conversations that I've had with people over the years, who I work with, and I've been able to give the gospel to them, and I've been able to, in a sense, challenge them and their thought process or their outlook on, why things are the way that they are. God is the loving, sovereign creator, ruler of this world. He loves us. He loves us so much that he sent his only begotten son to die on the cross for our sins. And let me put it more personally, my sins, which I still commit daily. But it's only because of Christ and God's love, which supersedes everything, that anyone could do this job or anyone can still get through their life. It's because of man's sin. It's not because of God. It's because of my sin. It's because of your sin. It's because of the sins of the world. We rejected God. God didn't reject us, and I know you know all this, but
listen, I love hearing it. Just keep going, because I love hearing it. This story never goes old, brother.
Right, exactly. But this is like I'm going back through talking with people over the years and telling them kind of the same thing. And we've learned little tips and tricks and things along the way. When we were young, you probably learned the Romans Road and stuff like that. And then we have other ways to give the gospel. And, I've utilized those tools over the years, and I'm thankful for them, that I've learned through my church, that I've learned through Sunday school, whatever it may be. But just adjusting our outlook and not putting myself and keeping myself as the ruler of my world, but letting God rule, because he is the rightful ruler. And I'm a sinner, and I'm only saved by his grace and his works alone. It's nothing I've done. When I stand before God one day, I'm going to point everything to Christ. It's all because of what Christ did on my behalf. My good deeds are as filthy rags. Yeah, people may say, oh, you've had a long career, you've done a lot of good, you've gotten justice for people, you put a lot of bad guys in jail, but sin is sin. I'm a sinner as well. I'm no different than truly anybody else. My good deeds are as filthy rags, and I should be, along with everyone else, condemned in my sins. But God, through his great riches and mercy and love for us, he saved us. He made a way for us to be reconciled to God, for us to have that relationship, which I have, which I know you have and others have, with him. And we can be called the sons of God, no longer the enemy of God.
Amen
And so
to
when you
that.
see that and you keep that in your mind, because we can lose focus on that often,
Yeah.
and we do daily.
Yeah.
But when you readjust and put back in first place who needs to be in first place, everything changes. Your whole world, your whole outlook, your whole mindset changes. So.
And it starts with at the foot of the cross, yielding our will to his will,
Mm-hmm.
surrendering fully. And most of the time, at least in my life, and people I know that came to Christ, you come to Christ not when things are great, and money in the bank, and life is good. You're not thinking about God when life is good. It's when life is low and you've exhausted all other options,
Mm-hmm.
and he brings you to that low point where, God, you've been pursuing me. I've been resisting you. I'm done resisting. And he does for us what we can't do for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We give him our sin, our filthy rags. In exchange, he gives us his righteousness. Where once we were dead to those things, he makes us alive. And then we become dead to the things that we were living for. He changes our very nature from those things that we once pursued, where we just want him. And, man, I'm thankful that he did that for me. Thankful he did that for you. And he doesn't force himself on people, does he?
No.
His arms are open,
Yeah,
but we have to
to all.
come. We have to come. We have to submit and accept that free gift. Free gift. Free gift. Wow. This is a good transition because I struggled with this for a long time, buddy, and I still don't have answers. I still don't have answers. If God is good, why do things come into my life that don't feel good? Sometimes you give it enough times, like, oh, I can see how God did that, and it's good. I asked my wife this morning, say, hey, how long has it been since you called 911? It's been 11 years. Been 11 years, man. Do you remember that day?
I do.
Tell me your side of it when you got the call. You got a call, and my name came across it, didn't it?
It did. I actually had my dispatch calling me because obviously, like you said, Karen called 911, and Karen called me as well on the personal. And looking back, which I knew at the time, but with everything going on, the Lord put us in those positions. And I don't know necessarily why, but looking back, I'm thankful that he allowed me to be a part of that situation. Because
What was the call when it came across? What did they say?
I don't know how. I'll try to just keep it vague.
No, not about me. What did it say about
Right.
me? Do you
What did it
remember?
say about you? I
Yeah.
remember what Karen told me.
What'd she say?
She said, I think Keith is going to kill somebody. And I said, what do you need? Where's he at? Where's he going? All that kind of stuff. So she gave me the information. So I made sure, my dispatch was aware of it because I was working the road at the time. Again, God orchestrates things.
Yeah.
He's sovereign over all, because maybe I wasn't working that day. Maybe I was, doing something else too far away to help in any way, shape, or form. But I was working that day, and I had a trainee with me, and I said, we got to go. Just get in the car. I'll explain on the way. Just keep your mouth shut right now. I got to handle something, kind of thing. And I remember, trying to, again, be professional. I had a job to do. But when it hits close to home with a friend or a family member that, you love, you care about, you do life with, and, you go to church with, that takes on a more significant role, if you will. It wasn't just one where it was like, it's just another call. I've handled 5 of these already today. It's like, okay, family needs me. It's time to go. So I showed up, and I remember being there first. And soon thereafter, you showed up. And I remember, among other things, but probably the biggest thing that stuck out in my mind was, I just need to show love. I just need to show love. And how that came across was, I don't know if you want me to share what I remember I told you.
I want you to share it. You talk about me.
Okay. I remember I stood toe to toe with you. And of course, I'm, in uniform, and, you were going through something in the moment. And I said, Keith, I love you. I love your family. But if you do anything, I'm going to have to arrest you. And I just left it at that.
Yeah, because when I got there, and I was going to kill him. When I got there, I felt relieved that it was you, because I'm like, oh, good, it's Dave. He knows me. And I think I even said it. I think I even told you that when I walked up the driveway.
You did, yeah.
I said, Dave, circle the block. I just need 15 minutes.
Yeah,
and in my mind, it made sense. In my mind, okay, Dave knows me. He'll understand this. And in my mind, it just made sense. Circle the block. I just need 15 minutes. And that's when you said that.
Yeah. Because I do remember you saying that. And in my mind, you weren't thinking right in the moment. You had a lot of emotions going through you at that time, All I could see was, if Keith does something, he's got 7 kids. He's got a wife, I need to help him. I don't want to cause any further problems or harm for him and his family. Whatever this is right here, right now, it's bad enough. It doesn't need to get worse, if that makes sense. So as much as I could relate at the time, because I was a father too, and we were friends, it's like I couldn't let you do that, even though that's what I would have asked too. I've been, just give me 10 minutes, all right? I couldn't do that, because I, thankfully, by God, I believe his grace, he had me thinking maybe of a little further down the road, rather than just in that moment where it's like, yeah, I get it. Let's do it. Fine. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense to you, and I don't know if I ever shared that with you or not, but
God used you to protect me from myself. Again, no coincidences. I've never experienced anything like that before. You hear about these out-of-body experiences. You hear about these crimes of passion. I never knew what that meant until that day. I even told you I was apologizing to you because I was yelling in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to. I was trying not to yell, but I couldn't bring my volume down. I even said, Dave, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm yelling, but I can't shut this off. Like, I had never experienced that before. And I'm so glad it was you, because if it was anybody else, you know what I mean? Like how it would have been perceived, right?
Right, absolutely.
But you let me, you you took it. And then I felt safe with you there. Like, I felt like you were handling me. I felt like you were protecting me, but I didn't know how you were protecting me. Even when they brought him out of the house, you shielded me. Somebody walked me away and shielded me, turned my back. I was being protected. So my kids are becoming teenagers, and we're finding stuff on their phones and stuff. My boys, you know what I mean? And so we just straight up had a conversation with the family. Hey, kids, I don't know what else to do. Like, the technology is the world in which we live in now.
Yeah.
We need them to do whatever. But we're going to put some software on where whatever you see, mama's going to see. And I straight up told my boys, boys, if you don't want mama seeing boobies on her phone, don't be looking them on yours. All right. I straight up told them, like, I'm not going to try to catch them. I'm just like peeling the thing off and just expose it. If you don't want whatever you don't want mama seeing, don't you be looking at it, because whatever you see, she's going to see. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that would be like, okay, layer of protection, just open it up, you know?
Right.
And we were working at the restaurant, and it was between breakfast and lunch, and I had Karen's iPad, and we never looked. I never looked to see what the kids were looking at. I just figured if I just say that, they'll be like, that'll be enough. You know what I mean? That'd be enough. You know what I mean?
Scared straight.
So I'm like, Karen, where's that iPad at? So I just like scrolling through, seeing what they're looking at, and I saw some text messages. And then I saw something that was not good. And I found out who that person was that was communicating with one of my kids. And we're going to talk about this next. And the only reason why I'm telling this is because I'm a present dad. I got kids. I love my family. I'm on the ball. Like, I'm present. So if this can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. Okay? That's why I'm being vulnerable here, because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So I find out that it's not another kid that's having this conversation. It's an adult. It's an adult that got access because of me. He did maintenance on some stuff in my house, did maintenance on some stuff in my place of business. He got access because of me. And I called him up, and where you at? He told me where he's at. I said, I know what you did. I said, start making up your lie now to tell the hospital and leave my name out of it. I didn't tell him I was going to kill him. I just wanted him to think I was just going to. So he started, and that's what put me over the edge. He laughed. That's what put me over the edge. He laughed about it. Okay. All right. If you're not there by the time I get there, I'm going to tell everybody what you did. If you bring up my name in your lie, I'm going to tell everybody what you did. Okay, so I pinned him down. So he was there. Dave, I put it in my GPS. And the freaking road, and I still get mad to this day thinking about it. You beat me there?
Yeah, I remember where I was.
You beat me there, because if I would have took one block over, I would have beat you there. Because my GPS put me on that long road where there's stop signs every freaking block.
Yep.
I got to his house, and I thought my truck was on fire because my brakes, remember that big excursion I had?
Yep, the black one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My brakes were smoking so bad because I was on the gas and on the brakes. I'm getting so mad because I'm hitting these things. I just need to get there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I would have went one block over, I would have beat you.
I didn't know that.
I would have beat you, and I would have had my way.
Mm-hmm.
No coincidences. That excursion that I had these custom wheels on it, and I got a tire. I had a flat tire one time. I went to change the lug nuts, but the rims were specialty rims. Like they're the lug nuts were like recessed into the rim where you couldn't see them. So a regular wrench couldn't get in there because it was too fat. So I had to buy this specialty lug nut thing to get inside that hole. So I had this like breaker bar that was like that long. So I could, if I ever had a flat tire, I could get in there. It was like in the door.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, that's it. I'm going to start with his feet and just work my way up. And I get there. And it was just like, to me, it just made, like, to me, it was, I wasn't even battling with it. Like, it wasn't, oh, Keith, this is wrong. I told Karen, I said, Karen, I found out who it was. I told her who it was. And dude, the sound that she made, okay, I know what I got to do. Like, I got to make this right. And it just made sense to me. You know what I mean? I wasn't thinking, like you said, I wasn't thinking right. To me, it was justice. To me, this is just what has to be done. You protected me. You protected me. God protected me. Like, we wouldn't, like, my whole life would have changed that day. My whole life would have changed that day. And sometimes, not so much now, but sometimes I feel like something was taken from me that day. Sometimes I feel like if I would have just took that other street, like sometimes I feel like I wish I would have, like, my opportunity got taken from me. Like, I wish, like, there's a part of me that wants him gone still. There's a part of me there. And then you ask yourself, because I'm a Christian, if God is good, if God is sovereign, why did this touch my life? And I still don't have the answer because it's not good. I still don't have the answer. But just because I don't have the answer doesn't mean that God is not good. God proved his goodness to me by having you there, protecting me from myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
God is good. Even though it's dark and we can't see it, he was doing something for me. So I share that to make this transition. I don't want what happened to me, what I experienced. I don't want nobody to live through that. I don't want anybody to live through that. So this next transition, I got some questions here for you, okay? And I want to I just want to go through these. Because what happened to me, Dave, my identity. My identity, I got 7 kids. You got 5. My identity is I'm a dad. I'm a grandfather. And the fact that happened to me, you know how much guilt I still feel today? Like, was I sleeping on the job? Like, you know what I mean? Like going through all this stuff, you know what I mean? Going through all these feelings. So I want to, and you and I talked, I want to use this as a practical, if I could rewind the clock and go back, that's a whole nother thing. As a Christian, if it happened to me, if it came to my life,
Right.
it's for a reason. Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be God. We can't be God, but we can learn through some things. Okay? So, protecting what matters most to us. As parents, grandparents, protecting what matters most.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I'm just going to straight up ask you these. And I want, pay attention. Are there common patterns you've seen in cases involving children that families should be aware of? Are there common patterns?
If family has good communication, and I'm not talking about like your family specifically then, or, you know, like my family, and you're invested in your kids, you're going to know how they behave. You're going to know how they act. You're going to know how they respond to certain stresses and influences in their life, if that makes sense.
It does.
If you're doing all of that with the understanding, as you and I are Christians, know that God still may do something. He may allow something to touch our lives that we would have never wished for ourselves. But with that being said, if you're doing those things and you see, like, you use that pattern and you know how they are, you know what their sense of humor is like, you know what triggers them, what makes them laugh, what makes them cry, kind of thing. And you're going to notice those little adjustments. You're going to notice those things that just seem off to you. And I've seen that in firsthand experience out there on the road and in investigations, you know, talking with parents of, you know, victims, or just anyone that may know a victim. Like, yeah, you know, they were, you know, going this direction. Then all of a sudden, you know, like 6 months ago, you know, they started doing this or that, and something just didn't seem right. And I never thought about it, you know? And in my mind, I'm like, there's your clue. You should have, you know what I mean?
I do.
But you can't say that to them in the moment. But as a parent, as a grandparent, if you see something, if you trust your gut, you know, to put it in words that we can
Okay.
understand, relate to, if something doesn't seem right, trust your gut and have that conversation, have that discussion, call them out on it, whatever it may be, because you don't want to get 6 months down the road and then you're looking back going, man, I see these warning signs and I miss them. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I'm paying real close attention to your words, and I'm mindful of my own shortcomings. Okay, so what you just said. A lot of times I come home from work, ask my kids, "Hey, how was school? How was whatever? You know, the usual."
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a surface level. Like I just do it like I'm connecting with them,
Right.
but I'm
Checking that box.
I'm just checking that box.
Yeah.
And not picking up on mannerisms, not picking up, like, I need to ask. If I was to do it all over again, and I'm still doing it now, I got two girls still at home, to ask some secondary questions, because if you ask surface questions, they're going to give you surface answers.
Mm-hmm.
And a teenage kid, they're going to give you surface answers anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So making mental notes, like have real conversations, not just the one just to check the box.
Yeah. And I can, what's the word I'm looking for? The best way that I can describe it is in law enforcement terms. And I know, you know, not everyone has the same training that I've had and the experiences and stuff. And I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not, but I've had
That's why I want you here.
But I've had the opportunity to interview a lot of people throughout my career.
Okay.
And I've been able to pick up on little things here and there, body language, facial expressions, fidgetiness, all that kind of stuff. And if you really, like you said, if you take the time, if you develop a rapport with your own kids, you know, hopefully someone is, but you go beyond the surface and dig deeper and really get to know them, you're going to then be able to pick up on, well, she's given me a surface answer, or he's giving me a surface answer, but as they're doing it, their body language is telling me something different.
Mm.
And I mean, we in law enforcement use that to our advantage all the time.
Okay.
You know, we have people watching our interviews. You know, if I'm in an interview, it's obviously being recorded and we have, you know, ways to view it. And I keep my phone by me because maybe someone that's watching it is picking up on something that I'm not seeing. And then they're texting me and they're saying, hey, I'm noticing this. Or, hey, when you said this word, you could see a light bulb went off in their mind. You know what I mean?
Got it.
And that's when okay, now I got to start digging deeper. And, Holly understands it, but she also hates it because, like I kind of use it on her, unfortunately, like with my kids and whatnot. I'm always like, okay, I believe you. I trust you, but there's probably more of the story, if that makes sense.
Understood.
Like there's always, it's like, just take me at face value. You know what I mean?
Got it.
And I want to do that. I want to believe the best in people,
Right.
as we should.
Yes.
But from my experience, you can't believe the best in people, because the people that I come into contact with, that I'm interviewing, they're telling me something completely different. They're only looking out for themselves. They're only trying to get away with what they did.
Okay.
And so you gotta look at everything, all those mannerisms, all those nonverbal cues.
My second question. In your experience, how does grooming typically look like? What does it look like over time?
It always
This person was throwing little things out there to see what comes back, and I could see that kind of like he was like testing the waters.
Mm-hmm.
He was testing the waters. So, you have such insight into this, and I want to protect children. I want to protect the vulnerable. Okay, and I got you here. I just want to like real systematically, like just walk me through it. What does that look like?
I'd say, before, to use your word, any type of grooming, let me backtrack just a little bit. You want to know and believe, and you want your kids to feel like they can and know that they can come to you about anything and everything. As I'm sure your kids did with you and your wife, whether it's embarrassing or whether it's because of, physical changes, their bodies changing. Hey, mom, this happened, that kind of stuff, which we all do as parents. To, hey, something's going on at school. I don't agree with it, kind of thing. Someone's saying something or someone's doing something. You just want to, in all avenues, you want your children to know that they can come to you for anything and everything. And Lord willing, that's going to continue for the rest of their lives. You're always going to be their parents, even when they're grown adults, you know? Let them know they can always come to you. You've always open door, whatever it may be.
There's nothing's going to shock me. There's nothing's going to diminish my love for you. Like, it just, let me know. Let's deal with it.
Exactly. Let me help you. And going back to, well, here, God's word says this, impart to them that wisdom that you have learned, that God has given you over the years, and that knowledge and those experiences. And hey, I did something real stupid as a kid too, and kind of get that, build that rapport with them, for lack of a better word. And okay, yeah, I know my dad's, he's my hero, he's, as they're younger, but as they get older, they realize, yeah, my dad wasn't perfect, but I know that he loved me, and I know that he cared for me, and he would have done everything for me. And I know I can always go to him. So with that being said, if you have that type of relationship with your kid, and something for them is off, or hey, I got this text message, rather than being ashamed of it, rather than being, ooh, now granted, anything can happen at any time. We know that. But I think I should tell my mom about this, or tell my dad about this. And so, like you just said, people will throw things out there. They'll just throw little breadcrumbs, seeing what they can get back. And then they'll throw something bigger. And then they'll throw something out for shock value, for lack of a better word, to say, okay, let's see, maybe if I say this, or if I do this, or I show them this, how are they going to respond, knowing that those little breadcrumbs they've eaten up? They've been like, okay, yeah, I get it. Cool, I'm tracking. And then they do something more and more extreme, and it gets to the point where then it's evolved into something that is
already got you.
Exactly.
So telling your children, hey, you can tell me anything, but here's the other thing. We're just talking practically.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 14, 15-year-old child and this older person is giving them attention. Like for a young impressionable person, like, oh, this person, every kid wants to be older than what they are. You follow me?
Yeah.
So if they're giving me attention and they're knowing what to say to you to make you feel a certain way, like you're older or like you're mature, that's not something a child is going to want to tell their parents, because they're going to tell their friends, hey, I'm talking to so-and-so, he's this age. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So that's, your kids are going to hide stuff from you. They're not always going to tell you, right?
Right.
They're not always going to tell you.
But you need to be that parent. And this is just my anecdotal
Yes. Yeah.
experience. You need to be that parent that will pry, that will ask those questions, that will go to them when they're not coming to you. If that
makes sense.
Yeah, because I agree with you 100%.
My girls, we're a working family. Got two left at home. And in the evenings, Karen will be sitting on the couch watching TV. I'm like, hey, where the girls at? They're in their rooms laying down. Well, come lay out here with me. Like, I want you to be with me. That's another thing you can be aware of if a kid is like isolating, like slowly, like just, you can take a nap, but take a nap right here on the couch next to daddy. Like let's be together. So just being aware, and again, there's nothing wrong with them being in the room, but there could be, right? There could be. So just picking up on, hey, where's so-and-so? And if they're always secluded, could be something there. Could be just something to be aware of, right? Okay.
Well, and going back, because you made me think of it, you said something earlier about, the kids and having to apologize to your kids, which you've had to do in the past, as I have as well. A big thing that I think parents don't like to admit, but you should, is I'm wrong too. I've got it wrong. Like you said, I've had to apologize. You want your kids to be able to, like, they can come to you for anything and everything.
Yeah.
But if you, when they do that the first couple times and you blow up on them, or you discipline them, or you react in a way that is not what they're expecting or wanting or needing from you, they're going to, like you just said, they're going to go, well, I'm not doing that again.
It's true, man. That's true.
But then if that happens, which has happened to me, my kids have come to me and, I didn't maybe handle it in the best way that I could have or should have, after we talk about it, pray about it, whatever has to happen happens. Hey, I kicked that one. I'm sorry. Will you forgive me? I will work on that. I will be better. And because you want to get them to keep that trust in you,
right?
Which is how it should be.
Should be, yeah.
But you have to humble yourself,
yeah,
and you have to be willing to admit when you're wrong, which we as men, as humans, don't like to do.
What are some red flags in adults that should never be ignored?
I'd say there's a lot. I'm suspicious of everybody, so I see red flags in everyone.
I want to hear some of them, because like I said, Dave, this is your craft.
Right.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what you do. So me having you here in the seat, I want to take full advantage of it. Red flags that you see in adults.
Just too friendly with kids. That's probably the biggest one. And that's not, anyone could probably come up with that one on, the top of their list. Too touchy-feely. Like you said earlier, I think, just sending things to them, giving them things, showing, you got a family, 5 kids, for example, mine. And, well, why is this person honing in just on this person right here, this kid? You got 4 others. Like, have fun with all of them, Why are they focusing on this one? Like that's an immediate red flag. And I'm not saying that I'm always right. I could be wrong. But those are just, okay, I'm going to file that away and take note of that and remember that, because
I just had 2 memories. Man. The first one, I had a friend. He had a dad and a stepmom. He had a stepmom. I was 14. I would go over there, play basketball, play army, like, build forts. Playing basketball. The mom wanted to play basketball with me and her stepson. And she's wearing a tank top with no bra. And she wants to defend, she wants to defend, and she got her arms out and pressing herself against me. I was 14, pretty naive. I was oblivious to what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
He smacked her backside. Said, "Hey Keith, she's just like the girls at school." Smacked his. I didn't know what stepmoms were. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an adult, looking back, I know what was going on between the two of them. And they were testing me. She was using her stepson to test the waters. She was playing basketball with us. She was testing the waters with a 14-year-old kid. And I was too naive to understand what was going on, and God protected me from that whole thing. I never told my parents because I didn't know there was anything to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And then us talking right now, I just had 2 or 3 memories where it could have gone. If I would have, it could have gone. Another one I had, my brother and I used to wrestle during the summers, freestyle wrestling up at the high school here during the off season. We were homeschooled. Was I 16? I don't know, it doesn't matter, 15, 16. And we'd wrestle, and there was a guy, an older guy. He wasn't a wrestling coach. He just liked wrestling. He was in his late 40s, and he was just always around. He was at the tournaments and stuff. He didn't have kids. He was just by himself. He would come to the tournaments, and he'd walk around with his hands behind his back, watching the kids wrestle. He came to some of the practices that we had, and there was this one time we were finishing practice, and everybody else went to go run around the track. He's like, "Hey Keith, let's work on. I saw these particular moves you're doing. Let's work on it." So when everybody left, he wasn't even a coach, dude. I don't even know why that guy was there. Looking back, that was that was a red flag. As a coach, if I was that coach, I would have picked up on that.
Right.
So here, the two of us are alone and he's practicing his fireman carry. Do you know what a fireman carry is?
Yeah.
Practicing his fireman carry. When he did a fireman carry on me, it felt different than when I was wrestling. His arm, and then he did his move and held me down and hey, try to get out. And I didn't know what was going on, but I felt I threw up. I remember throwing up after practice. I was nauseous. I was sick, but I didn't know what was going on. It never dawned on me, what he was doing. We went to a little church school. He came to the school because he was interested in the curriculum or whatever. Talked to my mom. "Hey, can I come visit? I'm interested in what you're doing." Comes to the school and befriends my mom. And he's like, "Hey, I live in a gated community. I got we have tennis. We got a swimming pool. What do you think about the 2 boys, Keith? Keith and my brother, hanging out?" Obviously, my mom wouldn't, but he was testing all the way up so to ask my mom if we could spend the night at his house. Can you imagine that?
Mm.
And I've just had these memories. So if that can happen to me freaking twice as a kid growing up in a good home, okay, and I just had those, dude, in real time. I just had those 2 memories I shared with you.
Mm-hmm.
what was my question? What are some red flags in adults that should never be ignored? Wanting to be alone with a kid. Hey, coach, go run the kids. I'm going to spend some time. Nowadays, that's off limits, brother, right?
Yeah.
That's an automatic no.
Right. Man, yeah.
And even though a kid, and again, we were a lot more naive then than normal kids, but kids don't have an awareness or a perception that an adult does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't have that awareness. I felt dirty. I felt like I told you I threw up, but I didn't realize what he was doing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything there that you need me to share in those two instances with you?
I mean, I don't want to sound like anyone that does that. A little disclaimer here. I don't want to sound like anyone that does those sort of things is out for bad things, if that makes sense. But like you just said, kids are innocent, kids are naive, ignorant.
And they're prone to trust adults and authority.
Exactly. We as parents, as, uncles, aunts, whatever, people, just kids in the church that aren't your own. We need to know who's hanging around our kids, who's coming into their lives. Just again, take those mental notes of, all right, they're talking about this new person. Well, tell me about them. Let's meet them. Let's hang out as a family. Let's figure this out. Because no, you're not just gonna, go to wherever with them. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go hang out if I don't get to know them first, if that makes sense. Because they're naive. We want them to trust adults. Absolutely. But we also don't want them and their innocence and to be taken away from them. It's our job as husbands, as fathers, to protect. There's that old saying, which we use all the time in law enforcement. There's wolves, there's sheep, and there's sheepdogs.
Okay.
Wolves, we know what wolves are. Sheep are the majority of the population, just naive, innocent, going about their daily lives. And then there's sheepdogs. They're the ones who are looking out for the sheep because they're too innocent or dumb or blind to see the dangers out there, to see the wolves that want to destroy them. Going back to, we know there's sin in this world. We know that evil is prevalent and it's everywhere. And it's only by God's grace to give us eyes to see that, to help protect ourselves, our family, those that we love, from those evils.
We hit this one a little bit, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. What behavioral changes in children might indicate something is wrong? We talked about kids, isolating, but I just don't want to miss anything.
Yeah, isolating. I would say being skittish all of a sudden for no reason. If your kid, is personable and, can get along well with others and interacts well with adults, even though, it's adult kid kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, again, going back to just seeing those little changes in their maybe behavior or their mannerisms, or like you said, they're isolating more than normal. Not that there's anything wrong with, hey, I'm going to go veg in my room for a little bit. We get it. We all do it. But more time than normal, what's going on? Why are you on your phone more? Or another thing, going back to the last question you gave, I was just thinking of this as you were talking. Online is such a big deal, gaming and stuff. My boys play online and everything. I always need to know who they're playing with, because like you just said, people online, we've seen it 100,000 times, and we know the stories, even though we may not be affected by them, of, oh, this kid's playing Roblox, this kid's playing Minecraft, and there are perverts out there, there are predators, there are evil people that want to do evil things on these systems and these platforms, and they're just throwing those little breadcrumbs out to anybody and everybody.
Which makes it more dangerous, because the two scenarios that I gave you was before the internet.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
was in person. It was in person. Now you can be a predator, can be in the comfort of their own space. And it's so much more dangerous via
It wasn't, yeah, it's not worse now than it was then when we were young, before the internet, before, the digital age, but it's just so
Easier access.
much more readily available. And like you said, the access that the world has to our kids is scary.
I'm going real slow with this because I don't want to miss anything. I had another memory. You remember Farmville?
Mm-hmm.
Farmville, where I hated freaking Farmville, bro. I freaking hated Farmville. Listen, even my wife was in Farmville. I'm trying to go somewhere. Hold on a minute. I got to pick my corn first. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? You got to, it's a.
Yeah,
but,
we had for some reason, an aquarium, and we kept little digital fish alive. It was the dumbest thing. I'm spending real money on.
Keep them alive.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have these games on your phone, and then freaking Farmville, again, it was new to us. I didn't know, but you could have conversations with people.
Mm-hmm.
You could have conversations with people. And one of my kids was having a conversation with somebody through Farmville. Man, it's just so much. It's just so much, right?
Mm-hmm.
Through Farmville. And it's been so long ago. I don't remember if the conversation was good or bad. I don't even remember, but I remember just taking note. And this, again, I'm going back 15 years ago. I mean, so it's a lot more prevalent now, but I just remember having that thought, man, this ain't good. Like that could be access for somebody. Okay.
To summarize kind of like what you're asking, I think for us as Christian men and, families, the biggest and best thing that we can do is pray for our children. And, I probably should have said that sooner. But that's, I feel, the God honest truth that we need to pray for them, because as much as we want to, and we try and we do to protect, there is only so much that we can do. Like you said, you did everything you could. And, God brought something into your life. But maybe just think of all the times and over the years that you've prayed, I've prayed, and will continue to pray for our kids. And all those things that God has protected them from without even us knowing about.
Right.
Only through the power of Him and what He can do, because He is
absolutely
overall.
I agree 1,000% with that. We're in utter and total dependence on Him, and we need to ask for His guidance, His help every day.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'll go back to your career. There's certain things that you learned, that you have experienced, that you didn't know that when you're younger, right?
Yeah.
And I want to do our part just to hit those systematic things that in your job, that someone who may be listening to this doesn't have you running one of their cases because they're like, oh, my kid looks that way, and start a conversation. You know what I mean? I just want to think.
Yeah.
Most of us, we're just living life. We're working, we're going through our routine. Kids are going to school, kids are going to Sunday school, everything's good. Just slow down a minute, have a real conversation, and just put a pulse on what life is really like. Because I think you'd be surprised if you just sat down and said, hey, you're not going to get in trouble. Let's just have a talk. I think you'd be surprised if your kids ever opened up.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff that they've been exposed to.
Yeah. Things they've heard, things they've done, tried, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I wish I didn't have 7 of them, brother. Them kids. Okay. Somebody just texted me. Let me get that out of the way. Behavioral changes. Were you done with behavioral changes? You pretty much hit it.
Yeah, if I think of something, we can circle back. But
if a parent has a gut feeling something isn't right, what are the steps that they should take? You don't want to accuse anybody, but you need to investigate, right? So if you have a gut feeling, my wife has a sense of things that I don't have, and I think most women do. I think most women do have a sense of things that men don't have. But let me read that one more time. If a parent has a gut feeling something isn't right, what steps should they take? And this is just practical stuff.
Yeah, I would suggest take it as far as you feel you need to. If your gut's saying something and, you have a conversation about it, let's just say at the beginning, and, it seems to make sense. You've prayed about it, and okay, I can understand what you're telling me, because you asked your person, your loved one, your child, whatever. But if it just keeps sticking with you, you should do more. Whether that means get your church involved, get your pastor involved, get other family involved, whatever. Or if it gets to that point, get law enforcement involved. Don't wait. Call us. I mean, that is why we're here. Let us handle, those things that, like you said, going back to grooming, that, well, man, 6 months ago, I noticed this slight little change, but I didn't think too much of it. And then next thing I know, boom, this is what we're dealing with. And had I just made a call 6 months ago, rather than just, I don't want to say we shouldn't believe the best, but again, I know in my job, there is evil out there.
I wish you didn't have a job in this
Yeah.
field. I wish
Yeah.
there was.
Yeah.
I wish there
I've
was
got
no
job
need for this.
security. Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, it's the world in which we live in.
Yeah.
It's always going to be evil in the world.
And that's how Holly is. She's a glass half full, always sees the best, hopes for the best. And we should be like that. We want that in our lives. But I think, again, God, no coincidences. God brought us together because she's a certain way and I'm a certain way. And without the other person, we wouldn't have that. But we do. And I have her influence in my life and her help because I see bad and I only think bad and I don't trust. And in my mind, which it's true, practically speaking, career-wise, I'm not wrong. I'm right.
Really?
Most of the time.
Statistically, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's prevalent. It is out there. It is more rampant. And we're just talking of crimes of all types. We'll just put it that way. More than anyone will ever know, really, unless you are in it day in and day out. I mean, our sheriff's office has, we have 12 detectives. We're one of the largest.
Wow.
So if that's saying anything, why do you need 12 special victims unit detectives?
What you just said, I was looking down to see if this question was on here, and it's not. When it comes to protecting our kids and the ones that have access, what do they typically look like? Are they strangers? Are they family members? Like, statistically speaking, the cases that you've ran, the kids that get hurt, the vulnerable that get hurt, who is it?
Family or friends.
Oh, man.
It's just been my experience. Those others are out there, absolutely. Strangers.
So if your kid leaves the room when Uncle so-and-so comes over and they're trying to communicate something to you and you're not listening to them because in your mind you have a view of Uncle so-and-so and that could never be him. You need to shut off your preconceptions idea of Uncle so-and-so and like let your kid right? And
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. We have how we view people with our relationship. Oh, and make excuse. Oh, they would never. Oh, you're seeing it wrong. Oh, he wouldn't do that. Shut it down for a minute. And because what you just said, you need to shut it down for a minute. And
Yep.
That's scary.
It is.
And again, while we're talking, what do you feel about sleepovers?
My wife and I allow them with certain rules, conditions, and people. Let me just put it that way. Family. I don't want to tell anyone how to parent. So
No,
that's
but we're just throwing warnings
I know, but
out there.
But again, that's something that a new couple starting out or just starting your family, these are the types of conversations that they should be having because, you don't want to get 8 years down the road and then, little Johnny wants to go spend the night and your significant other is like, absolutely, that's fine, no big deal. And then you're trying to, well, no, I should have taken a stand 8 years ago and we've compromised and this is our standard and this is what we're going to abide by, rather than in that moment going, never thought about this. What should I do? Do you cave? Do you do that? Because then, God forbid, something happens, you probably will be kicking yourself the rest of your life.
Have there been cases that have been sleepover type things that you've worked?
Yeah.
Is it common?
Yeah.
It is common. If it's not, just say it, because
No, it is.
I would make me
just
feel better if it's not.
no. Unfortunately, no one likes to hear the information that I have, but I know that's exactly why I'm here.
That's
so
why you're here.
But I was just thinking through. Yeah,
It's common.
Yeah.
All right. If you could go back in time in some of these cases that you've worked, what signs might have changed the outcome if caught earlier? If you could rewind. And I think we've already kind of been talking about this.
Yeah, just being more present, more aware of your surroundings, more aware of those that are most important to you. We've touched on those. We've gone into the
We
specifics,
have.
like you said,
Yes.
but just generally speaking, there's no one closer than your family, your wife, your children in this life, in this
Ooh.
world.
Yeah.
Take the time. Don't just, like you said, oh, I checked it off. Hey, how was your day? Oh, good. All right, cool. All right, on to the next thing. Don't just brush it aside. They are the most important work in your life, humanly speaking.
Yeah.
And we're looking out for them in so many other areas. Make sure you wear your seatbelt. Make sure, you keep your phone on you and your Life 360 so I can know where you are. And, make sure, you take a shower because you want to be good hygiene and all that stuff. We care about all these other things, but yet we gloss over
What matters?
a lot of times the
Yeah.
most important, and that's protecting their innocence.
This isn't the purpose of having you here is just talk about practical things, those practical steps. But one tactic of the evil one when it comes to spiritual warfare is to overwhelm you with just busyness so that you don't have time. You're just overwhelmed with being busy, keeping up with the bills, all this stuff and I think a lot of that, our most precious gifts that God gave us, our children, may not be getting the attention that we need to be giving them because of the day and age which we live in. We're overwhelmed with just being busy. And that could potentially be a tactic by the evil one just to keep us overloaded, that we don't take that time to spend with our kids. Would you agree with that?
I would, yeah, absolutely. And that goes back to
So we need to be intentional. We need to be intentional with family time. I'm just talking to myself. What does family time look like? Turn the TV off. Let's put the phones down. Let's have some face to face. Like I'm thinking of some things that I can strategize to do to make those connections with my children.
And I think that having those family times and having those conversations and, like you said, being present and more focused on them as your relationship evolves with your children, as they get older and you start dealing with new and bigger problems, issues of life, that, Lord willing, that relationship's just going to grow deeper and deeper, just like our relationship with Christ, with God. The more we draw close to him, the more we learn to depend on him, the more we say, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done.
Right.
That is a reflection. My reflection with God is then passed through and is in a sense a reflection of me with my children, because they know that they're going to be able to come to me and trust me, and I'm going to do anything and everything, humanly speaking, in my power to help them. And that relationship is just going to grow deeper and deeper and become more meaningful and special and loving as you get older.
I need to work on that. We need to wrap this up, but you keep saying stuff, dude, that just hits so hard. Luckily, my parents have my wife. Luckily, my children have my wife.
Me too.
They don't come to me not because I'm unapproachable. They come to me because Dad will kill somebody. Like, they don't. He laughs because he knows the truth. They keep things from me because Dad's going to hurt somebody. They tell Karen, and Karen gives me some little breadcrumbs like, hey, what's going on? Like, hey, promise me. So I need to work on that. I need to work on that. Like,
me too.
hey, daddy ain't going to kill nobody. Just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, that's God's grace in our lives. He gave us women and wives that can do that sort of thing.
I'm going to ask you these. If they're redundant, we can just jump by them. But what conversations should parents be having with their children today?
I mean, everything we talked about.
Everything
just
we talked
have
about.
conversations with them.
Have conversations.
Don't
Real
just-
conversations.
Yeah, don't just, how was your day? Get your homework done. Make your lunch for tomorrow. No, that's not a conversation. That's your checklist before you go to bed kind of thing,
It's a good check for me. That just kind of hit me because, yeah. And you don't have to have like a conversation. You can be riding in the car to school or the grocery store and just be talking.
That's
just
the
be
best way.
natural.
Organically.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a conversation every night. Like,
Right.
I need to be intentional every night because, like you just said, sometimes the busyness of life gets us and we have other responsibilities or priorities that I've got to attend to. I've got to take care of this. But you know what? I just didn't throw my family by the wayside and forget about them. No, I'm going to circle back and, okay, hey, I know I've been busy, but you guys doing okay? What's going on?
Man, this is a good one. This is a good one. How do we protect our kids while still allowing them to be kids? The world's a dangerous place.
I don't have a good answer for that. I mean, it's going to be different for everyone. But yeah, that's a good question.
You don't have an answer for that one.
I mean, we don't have enough time probably to
But
dissect
it's
it.
like this. It's just like the stuff that you deal with. You don't share that with your wife and your kids because it's not their burden to bear. You don't want to like, all right, kid, you're going to go outside. Here's all the predators out there. You don't want to put that on a kid.
Right.
They need to be kids.
Yes.
So at the same yeah.
That's my burden to bear, not necessarily theirs. But I'm thankful I'm in a position where maybe more than others. And that's why I'm willing to have these conversations with family and friends. I'm not out there like trying to beat it into their heads.
Right.
If someone comes to me and is genuine and has a question, I will do whatever I can.
Sure.
But I have, because of my job and because of my experience, I, in a sense, maybe have a little better understanding or insight into, all right, yeah, go be a kid, go have fun. But in the back of my mind, I'm already 20 steps or thinking of 20 different things like, okay, what could go wrong? Who's coming in their lives? What are they doing? Where are they going? All this kind of stuff. So like you said, organically, naturally, I can just bring those up in conversation. I don't need to be like, okay, well, you just went out and you had fun. Now I'm going to ask you these 10 questions and you need to answer them truthfully. It's just,
that ain't going to work.
Exactly. It's just let it come naturally. It may be a day or two later, but inevitably you're going to be able to work it in. And it's not being manipulative. It's just protecting and it's looking out for your family. And it's, okay, well, I maybe see this about this person, or hey, this situation, maybe next time you come across that, do this, try that, whatever it is, because you're seeing things down the road that they're not because they're obviously not of age yet.
And maybe as they mature, just slowly, okay, there's going to be a day where you and I are gone and we're not going to be here to protect our loved ones. But if I can teach them and train them how to protect themselves,
right,
as is age appropriate, maybe that's the answer, right? We pray for them, but also give them the tools they need to be self-aware. I got 3 daughters. Charlie, he's a martial artist.
Oh yeah, Charlie. Yeah.
He comes over once a week and trains my 3 girls some self-defense. It's for fun. Some tools to use.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about him is self-awareness. If something don't feel right, it probably isn't right. When you're walking across the parking lot, don't be looking at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Here's how guys, when they attack, they like to do just some practical stuff, not to make them fear the world,
Mm-hmm.
but just some practical things like to be aware of, right? So and that's what this conversation is about. So
it's funny you say that. Just to touch on that, I've over the years, when like Holly leaves and now my daughters are getting older and they're driving, I'll say to them, just be observant. It's not like you just said, it's not that, but that's my word for whatever reason. That's the word that I've used for 20 years now. Just be observant. Just look and say, oh, something doesn't look right, or like I got a gut feeling. Let me just take this route. Let me go this way. Let me, stand under this light right here for whatever reason, because it's dark over there. I don't need to walk over there. Don't be so wrapped up in your phone or in your own mind or whatever else you have going on that, man, you're not observant to the world around you because there's so much evil out there.
What you just said. A few years ago, my wife, I think, went to Publix or the bank or something, and she gets back into her truck, and there was something on her mirror. I don't know if it was a zip tie, but it was something that somebody had put on her mirror. And she had a gut feeling about it. So she didn't try to get it off. She didn't like pull over and like try to, it was something that would have, like, it would be her natural instinct to, what's that? Get out and like,
Mm-hmm.
she just had a gut feeling, like I told you women have.
Mm-hmm.
And she came home, she's like, look at this. And she showed me. And then like that night, some stuff came out on the news about these human traffickers that they see something, they mark something some way so that, and then there are people in the parking lot that watch you. And so when you pull off to deal with this or whatever, they snatch you up. Isn't that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say self-awareness,
yeah.
self-awareness.
Yep.
So, what would you say to parents who believe that this couldn't happen to them, like me? Like I use myself an example. This could never happen to me. I'm a good parent. We got, I'm sophisticated. I got, whatever.
Right.
And I want you to talk about some statistics. I want you to talk about demographics. Like,
it's across the board. It's not just one at all. And it can happen. It can happen. Lord willing, it doesn't. And I'm just talking, not necessarily in a law enforcement angle of it, but hopefully it doesn't happen. But statistically, something, I don't know, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst, 1 being something minor, like you just said, like, man, 30 years ago, I'm at, wrestling, and I'm just realizing this now. Like, man, that was weird. That wasn't right. But thank God nothing more came of it.
Right.
It can, and it will. Like, I have experiences and I have family in my own life that, have those things, have those stories. So we as the Bible says to be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. We're to be discerning.
Yeah.
We have no wisdom of our own. All wisdom comes from God.
Amen to that.
God gave us a brain, though.
Okay.
Let's use it.
Okay.
Like, that's the best way I can probably put it. Use it.
As a dad, feed my kids, putting a roof over their head, putting clothes on them, send them to school. Bro, that's the easy work. That's like the no-brainer.
Yeah.
The stuff that we're talking about right now, that's the stuff that keeps me up at night. Yeah. And now that my kids are having kids, you know what I mean? It's just that stuff keeps me up at night. And that's why I wanted to take this conversation slowly, dissect it, make sure there was no ambiguous conversation here. I just want to be like real practical so someone could say, oh, that wasn't, you follow me while I got you here.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thing that I missed before we wrap this thing up?
No. I appreciate you talking with me.
Yeah,
I do.
Same. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work that you do. All your people that you work with, like, express my personal gratitude for them on my behalf. And then maybe at some point you can introduce me to your people and I can show some appreciation.
Come on by.
Go to lunch or like show some love. Close this thing down however you want to do it.
Talked about a lot of things, a lot of heavy things.
We did.
But it's good to have these conversations.
We need them.
Exactly. We don't want to bury our head in the sand.
Mm-mm.
We don't want to be ostriches. Because it's out there. Because Crime is out there, violence is out there, abuse is out there. We want to use what God gave us, the tools that He gave us, the people in our lives. Let them be a help to you. You can't do it on your own. You know, the name of this is Still Strong, you know, and I've been thinking about that over the last couple weeks, knowing that I'd be coming on. And I'm like, just kind of overall thinking like, well, what does that mean? What does that mean to me? You know, overall, what does that mean to me right now? What does that mean to me when I'm 60? And I just kept going back to, apart from God, I'm nothing.
Amen.
Apart from God, I'm not strong.
Amen.
Apart from God, I'm dead in my trespasses and sins. And it's all because of Christ. It's all because of God. And I'm just thankful. So thankful for Him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for what He did in my life,
Mm-hmm.
saving me at a young age, allowing me to be brought up in a Christian home. You know, I have Christian parents.
Good.
You know, family saved. I'm thankful for that. And He's kept me from a lot. I'm
Good.
thankful that He's kept me safe in my 20 years of law enforcement, because there's been some, you know, scary moments. We'll just put it that way. And I just look forward to running this race, as it talks about in Hebrews, and Lord willing, finishing strong.
Yeah, man.
But again, it's not because of anything that I will have done or anything that I could do. It's all because of Him. So
God's word says He is mighty to save.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's still strong. To the top. Never diminished.
Absolutely.
We waver, we flounder, we become weak. He equips us to be strong. When there's work to be done, He equips us to be strong, to do His mighty work, but it's His strength, not our own. He's the one that's constant, still, never diminishing.
Yep.
And we get to be a part of that work as Christians.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. All right, brother, let's wrap this up. You're on call. I don't want to keep you.
Well, thankfully, my phone hasn't gone off, so.
Good.
That's
Good.
a win.
Love you, buddy.
That's
Thanks.
okay. Still strong. Watch me rise my way. Slow growth turns into real change. I found joy in the simple days, in honest work and faith.